culture, what you might call soft power, hard power. I have another fascinating topic, a whole chapter on China's going abroad in its media, in its arts, its film, literature, sports, other aspects of cultural activities. And China is beginning to gain a presence in these areas abroad, but I would argue that they're not setting trends yet in any of them. So the foothold is there, but they're not really influencing, trends in any real category of cultural endeavor. That may change over time, probably will change over time, but for the time being, I argue that they don't really have it. And soft power, they're obsessed with soft power. Since 2008, Hu Jintao's speech to the 17th Party Congress told them they should be obsessed, they should focus on soft power. But they wonder, what is soft power, first of all? Do we have it? If not, why don't we have it? Where can we get it? Can we go out and buy it? Is there a Walmart of international relations out there? You can go down the sort of culture aisle and buy an off-the-shelf kit for soft power. They wish it was so easy. And they are trying to buy it, I would argue. They're investing in this $10 billion a year into the overseas Shenzhuan, they call it, 对外宣传工作, overseas publicity or propaganda work. But they're taking the same approach to that as they do to high-speed rail and anything else. You throw money at it and you just hope that it grows like infrastructure. Soft power doesn't work that way. You earn it, you don't build it. And finally, hard power, it's pretty simple. I argue that with three important exceptions, ballistic missiles, space, and cyber hacking, those are three areas where China is a global power. In the case of cyber hacking, they're probably a global leader. They are a global leader, as we've been reading. Kind of a dubious distinction, but other than those three important exceptions, their military is not at all a global power. They don't have any power projection capacity outside of Asia, and even within Asia. Yes, their navy's growing. Yes, they can now do in-flight refueling. But there's a lot of elements that are involved in global power projection, not the least of which are foreign bases and access arrangements that they don't have. So we can talk about that. But the bottom line on the hard power side is that they are not a global power. They're a regional power, and their regional military power is indeed affecting the balance of power in the Asia Pacific, but not beyond that region. So where does that leave us? In conclusion, I argue in the book that China's a partial power, not in the League of the United States, and increasing in some categories. And over time, mind you, this is kind of a static snapshot of a dynamic process, this book. If we were to do this book 10 years from now, I'm sure Chinese multinational corporations will have a bigger global footprint. Their brands will be on that top 100 list. Their writers will become more popular in the West. Their films will be more popular abroad. So this is going to change over time. Maybe their Navy will have a string of pearls and they will have some global power projection. But for right now, 2012 or so, I argue that in these five categories, they are a partial power. Let me just close by saying that this is not an absolute argument because there are exceptions to the rule. China's global energy, impact on global energy and commodity markets, it's significant. They're the world's largest energy consumer. They have a big impact on commodity prices. They have a big impact on global tourism, and for the better in some ways. Chinese tourists spent $69 billion abroad last year. Global luxury good market. The Chinese have rescued the global luxury good market in recent years. Global art auction market. 40% of art sold worldwide at auction last year purchased by Chinese. Not just Chinese art, but all art. So just go to a Sotheby's or Christie's auction here in New York and you will witness this. Global property market, some international sports, and cyber hacking. These are areas where China is a global power. But I find in general and in conclusion, China is not really influencing global events. The definition of a power is that you influence others and influence events. At least that's the definition of Joseph Nye's most recent book, all the way back to Hans Morgenthau. The definition of power is influencing the trajectory of another actor or shaping events. And I find China not doing that yet. We will see over time.